may cancel their streaming subscriptions, and without that streaming revenue, Hollywood may have a hard time creating new content. NTD's call
take an actor and basically reprogram the AI to reproduce that actor doing and saying whatever they want with impunity, with no repercussions to them, but full ramifications for the actor who hasn't even participated in the project, as an example. And so what the strike is really trying to do is bring this to a head before it's really too late. I mean, they have all these capabilities right now, and there are no legal ramifications in there at all because, as you know, our law follows after the development of the technology. So we're really at a very great loss right now. We are very vulnerable, and I'm speaking for actors. And so the union decided that they had to strike because the producers refused to even come to the table to negotiate. And at this point, the producers are not giving very much on their position, which is a very dangerous position for actors.
So the Hollywood culture has come under fire by many, just the way things are out there. An outsider film, I want to get your thoughts. You may have seen it now, called Sound of Freedom, which focuses on child sex trafficking, has taken the box office by storm. Perhaps, Hollywood might get some inspiration here. What do you think?
Oh, I think not. I think you've seen that there are some big players in the media. I'll just say media, not necessarily Hollywood, but of course Hollywood is a part and parcel of the media. That are deriding Sound of Freedom and calling it basically like QAnon, conspiracy theory, whatever. So it seems like there are some big players who have dug their heels in the other way and are trying to deny the biggest, fastest growing industry, I think, in the United States right now, which is human trafficking. And the movie did a phenomenal job. By the way, full disclosure, I had no part in the movie. It did a phenomenal job at uncovering for a naive audience, say, an unwitting audience, the depths of the depravity here. And in one of the quotes, or I don't know if it's the guy, it's based on a true story, and so Tim Ballard is the focus of the film, or the lead character in the film. I believe it's him who says this. I don't recall if it's in the movie or not, but he says, you can sell drugs once, you can sell a child several times a day over a period of years. And so it's a much larger industry than the drug trade. And, we've been after the drug trade for years and years to very little effect. Now we've got human lives at stake, individuals, real human beings who think and feel. And so for anybody to go up and say, oh, pish pash, that's nothing, or, try to discredit the movie is really quite astonishing to me. And what I'm encouraged by is that there is such an outcry in the general population for this movie, on behalf of this movie, with people buying tickets and going to the theaters. And I don't know if you've seen, but there are videos now that the theaters themselves are shutting off the air conditioning. Oh, oopsie, we have problems with the air conditioning. If you want a refund, just come and get it. Oh, we can't turn the lights off, so you'll have to watch the whole movie with the full theater lights on, making it as uncomfortable as possible for audiences to stay in the theater. And, I suppose if you want to believe in conspiracies, you might say that the theaters are conspiring against the movie. I don't know. I just find it very odd that we don't hear this for literally any other movie. I've never heard this before.
Sam Sorbo, thank you so much.
The wherewithal to keep them alive. What we're being asked is to accept the homeless industrial complex as a facet of life. We're being asked to, guess what? You are going to have to live with a good portion of the population being homeless. You are going to have to live with the crime that comes out of the drug world. And we can get into that as another problem. You're going to have to live with that. You're going to have to accept this as a way of life. I don't accept that. If we can't do anything about it, this is not a civilized society. It's not an advanced, educated, civilized society. The proper way to treat the homeless in San Francisco, and to be a good lesson for the nation, say, okay, we're going to treat our homeless people from San Francisco, or at least San Francisco, if not the larger Bay Area, let's limit it to 10% of our population, say 9,000 and below. and treat the root causes of homelessness. So let's take that $2 billion we're spending and spend it on them and treat the root causes, whether it's drug addiction, substance addiction, mental illness, whatever it is. Let's correct that problem and give them a path out of homeless into regular lifestyle. That's humane. That's the real humane approach, not this stuff where we're opening our arms to the world and we're doing everything. That's why we got 15,000 people living on the street up there.
Some people are saying the situation in San Francisco is exaggerated in the media. I was actually on the plane with someone that said their friend lives there. She was from the Bay Area. Her friend lives in San Francisco, and she said people are happy there. The young people. Is it that you come here very concerned? Is it that the people that are happy right now and they're happy with the situation, they're not seeing the future, or what's?
Well, I would say that person you talked to on the plane, in all due respect, doesn't know what she's talking about, because San Francisco's lost over 100,000 people in the last 3 years. All you got to do is walk downtown San Francisco. The only people I see that are really happy are the people from the tents, the homeless camps, or the drug addicts are out in La La Land. They're happy as hell. No, she's wrong. She's wrong. Families are striving because of the expense to put their kids through school and make a living. The downtown property owners that I talked about, the city fathers, they're beginning to get worried. The politicians that are sucking the blood out of the people that want to fund them are even getting worried because they see the tide changing. Well, no one's happy up there. People, I'm happy when I go there. I'm around my family and friends. Yeah, if that's what she's talking about. But no, San Francisco is a changed city. And anybody that's been there in the last 6 months will tell you this isn't the city that I knew. And it can be again. Yeah, it's got everything going for it, but it's not going to be until people wake up.
The direction that San Francisco is going, if nothing changes. You've been in the city for many years. You've been watching the government. You've been watching the policies. What is it going to look like?
San Francisco, if nothing changes, if they don't make bold, and I mean bold moves, if the city fathers, again, the property owners, the businesses, the corporate people that are headquartered up there, even the mom and pops, the people raising their families out in the districts, if they don't weigh in, get together and elect a mayor and a slate of the Board of Supervisors. It can't be a mayor alone, because you have to have the Board of Supervisors. You have to have so many votes to really change that town. It's got to be a new approach. If they don't take bold approaches to correct their problems, San Francisco will be just like Detroit in the 60s and 70s. It'll be just like parts of Cleveland and ghost cities in this country. That's where it's going, and that's a shame to happen anywhere, much less a city as once great as San Francisco. If we can't come up with the bold moves to correct these problems that are man-made and created by the politicians that live there, then we're not worth our salt.
Do you think that's going to happen? Because San Francisco still has a very beautiful location and weather and all that, right? Do you think?
I hope it. I certainly hope it does. I mean, more than anything, I hope it does. But you understand, we have to treat the problems. If we're going to treat homelessness, let's treat the root causes for the people that are our responsibility, not the 3/4 of the people from Boston and other parts, from all over the world. There's people living on the street there from all over the world, from Afghanistan, from Mexico, from Venezuela, all over the world, living on the street, living on the largesse and the benevolence of the San Francisco taxpayer. We've had a wonderful tax base compared to LA, San Diego, some of the eastern cities. Our tax base has been phenomenal. So we've had a lot of fat, and a lot of people can propose foolish programs, but that day is drying up.
Now, Tony, you have a big history in the city. Like, you lived there many years, and can you tell us what was San Francisco like? Because we all remember as San Francisco being the Paris of the West.
San Francisco, CMAC, was a glorious city. Glorious. I say that because it was one of the cities in the world. It was an unusual city, extreme beauty. But what made San Francisco was its culture, its people. They were benevolent, they were fun-loving, they were outgoing, not like in LA, they didn't live their life outside. In fact, San Francisco was a much more older cosmopolitan city than Los Angeles, where I spent years growing up. San Francisco was magic. And what made it magic was its people. And the people in government really cared about the people they served. And that it had an unbelievable amount of fraternal organizations, both faith-based, some of not, just social organizations that tended to the needs of the poor, that tended to the needs of the needy, and all that's gone. They've died off. The younger generation is not as social. Well, San Francisco, the average San Franciscan you could spot a mile away. He just had a different demeanor about him. When I first went to San Francisco in 1964, I was offered a job as an investigator for the retirement system. My cousin ran the retirement system, told me to go up there, take a test for it. I passed the test, and I was hired as an investigator. And through that position, I was able to meet the mayor at that time, George Christopher. He had just finished his term, second term, I think, maybe his third term as mayor, and people that ran the city. I was very interested in doing public administration. That's what my degree from UCLA was. And I'll never forget, I interned him his last month or two, interned for his office, the last month or two of his mayorship. Tremendous man. Probably the best mayor we've ever had, one of the best. But he taught me this, I'll never forget it. He said, if you want to serve the public, if you want to go into public administration, learn how to read a budget. Learn how to read a budget, know how to allocate resources and direct personnel. And everything you do, I'll never forget, he said, do it for the benefit of the public at large, regardless of race, color, or creed. You're going to hear me say that a lot in this interview today. That was George Christopher's philosophy. Never do anything for one person that you can't do for the other. Serve the city. That's why I thought he was such a great man. My cousin, Dan Matrosi, who was a wonderful department head, several different departments, but wound up running the retirement system in San Francisco, which I think you might know is a very large department. He did a lot of public lecturing, and he used to talk about four things: HILP, HILP, honesty, integrity, loyalty, and pride. And San Franciscans had a lot of pride. They didn't acknowledge people from LA as being on the same scale. They looked almost down their nose at that time at people from New York. San Francisco's had class. They loved a good time, and they loved everybody. I remember going to that city and thinking, wow, coming from LA, you didn't go in certain areas, you did this, but San Franciscans all mixed with each other, regardless of their political affiliation. They love to mix with people and debate. It was all fun. It's a city that really the social activity took place in the restaurants and the pubs. That's where it was different. And it was a very old culture, It was always run by bosses, by city bosses, much like Boss Tweed out of New York. The old-timers, the city fathers, determined who the mayor was going to be. At one time, the Board of Supervisors that I served on was made up of 22 members. Now it's down to 11. They were all chosen from different facets of the economy, different businesses, but they're all businessmen. So the city fathers, the downtown people that were invested in the city, pretty much selected who they wanted to run the city. And they selected people from across the board. That's the way the city ran.
Regarding its consumption,
municipal wastewater could one day be mixed in with water systems as part of Governor Gavin Newsom's water recycling strategy. That's according to a series of proposed regulations that California's State Water Resources Control Board announced on July 11th. Newsom's water supply strategy aims to recycle and reuse at least 800,000 acre-feet of water per year by 2030, costing around $10 billion, and an additional 1.8 million acre-feet by 2040, costing around $27 billion. Doreen Pohimis, Deputy Director for the Division of Drinking Water, insists that the recycled water is of higher quality and lower risk than many traditional drinking water sources. But according to the University of Florida, though reclaimed water from wastewater is highly disinfected and treated, it may still contain substances at levels that disqualify drinkability. Darcy Burke, the board president of Elsinore Valley Municipal Water District, said on Epoch TV that the drought issue facing the state is a result of poor policies. She says a vast majority of water is wasted every year by releasing it into the Sacramento-San Joaquin Delta. This is due to a mandate by the state's environmental policy, which insists that the move is necessary to protect endangered fish.
San Francisco
sales due to tough economic conditions. San Francisco's famous Anchor Brewing will close down and sell off its assets. Known for its innovative brewing techniques, Anchor Brewing gained popularity in the 1970s and became a sought-after brand nationwide.
That's very sad. I'm a native San Franciscan, and I've been drinking the beer as long as I can remember. It's one of my favorites, and it's like losing an old friend.
You gotta come here. This is the oldest brewery in California. This is the one that is like kind of legacy breweries that's still around, and it's fun to go to. There's a lot of other newer beers with tastier beers, but this one's the one to go to.
However, the rise of canned cocktails, spirits, and wines, along with the impact of COVID-19 lockdowns, made it challenging for brewers to turn a profit. Despite efforts to find a buyer, the company was unsuccessful. San Francisco locals expressed shock at the news and rushed to buy remaining inventory and merchandise.
We definitely had to come down, get our hands on whatever Anchor we could bring back home, and come see the brewery and enjoy a steam beer one last time here in San Francisco.
While the brewing operations have stopped, packaging and distribution will continue until the end of the month.
They, however, may be one last attempt to save Anchor Brewing Company. Since their closure announcement, 24 individual investors have expressed interest in buying part or all of the company. All right, everyone, that's all we've got for you tonight. We would like you to join us again on California Today every weekday at 8 p.m. Make sure to check out our broadcasts at ntd.com/California-today. You will find all of our top latest clips there, ready to share with friends and family. Send us a message on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Ganjin World, or through our email, california.today@ntd.com. If you'd like to share news tips or let us know how we're doing, we'd love to hear from you. I'm David Zhang. Have a wonderful evening.